Okay, so first up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw our tea candle holder. Here we go. So, rectangle tool, or click here, type in 300, comma 70. Now, there we go. That's our tea candle holder right there. Now, tape measure tool. I measure in from the edge, 80, then measure in 70, another 70 again, and I want to find my center point. If I go up here, it'll find center. It should snap to the center. Now normally that should highlight blue, so that's a bit strange. 35, cool. Now, if I want to zoom in there, what I can do is I can just hit the 3 red arrows, zooms in perfect, good to go. I'm going to push-pull this down, P is the push-pull tool, and we're going to push it down 19. Done. Circle tool, here we go, click on the point, we're going to go 21. So each circle is 21. And here we go again, 21. And we're going to drop it down with the push-pull tool, 10 mil. That's 10 millimeters. I can reference my first plane. There we go, going through this fairly fast. Good. Now that I have that done, I am going to do my first trench on the side here. So I'm going to look in from the side with my orbit tool, go into this edge. I'm going to be working exclusively on this edge here, so I want to zoom in on that edge. Tape measure tool, I'm going to measure in 20. I'll just follow the drawing this time, which is 19. Tape measure tool again, up 6. Now I can use the line tool or the rectangle tool to do this next job. Whoop. Command Z. Okay, push-pull tool, click on the face and all the way over to the edge. That'll get me a trench that has gone all the way through. Cool. Zoom out, zoom in on the other side. Orbit around. Now we work on this side. So tape measure tool again. Click on the edge. Go out 20. It's in the drawing there. And 19. Rectangle tool. There we go. Beautiful. Now, last thing is push pull. I'll orbit around a little bit so I can see where I'm going. There we go. Push pull tool. I'm using shortcuts here. Push-pull tool is P, rectangle is R, line is L, and so on. Now, I have everything I need there in relation to the body of the tea candle holder. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple of legs. Now I'm going to do these legs. Let's see. Find a good position here. I'll do my legs just in this area here. Here we go. So I need to type 19, comma, how big are the legs, anyone? How wide? You can see it on the drawing, it's on the left hand side. Who's got it? It's a big measurement. It's a big number. 110, thank you, Sammy. So I've made that. The legs are 19, you can see it in the drawing. At this stage now, guys, it's more of a challenge. I want to challenge you guys, so I don't want to give you all the answers. Click on the top, move down 19, job done. Zoom in on the edges. Cool. Tape measure tool, we're going to go in 10 and down 10. I'm going to do the same over on this edge here, 10. And I'm going to use the line tool to create my chamfered edge. We're putting a chamfered edge in here because it looks pretty. It adds to the aesthetics of your work. Here we go. Cool. Push-pull tool. Click on this point. Up to here. Click on this point. If you get stuck, guys, try and nut it out, okay? You will have this video to help you out if it all goes well. And otherwise, I'll be around to answer questions later. Now, when I'm moving this leg into position, it is quite important that I have made this a group. Now, before I make it a group, I'm just going to make a little reference line up here. So I click on this edge here and I go in 10. And I'm actually going to make a little line here. It's going to be easier to see. That line is solely to help me move this into position later. So you'll see this in a second. So now spacebar is back to the selection tool. Again, don't worry if you've fallen behind. We'll go through this again later. Just try your best. I'm going to select this object here. So look how I did it. I just made a little box around the object and I right click and I make it into a group or a component, okay? When I make it into a component, that's maybe a little bit more interesting. When it turns into a component, whatever change I make on one object affects the other object. So for example, if you're designing windows for a house, and let's say you put in all the windows, next thing you want to change one, you'd have to go back and change them all. But if it's a component, when you change one, everything else changes. Okay, so I'm going to make this component here. It opens up a little box. I'm going to call this tea candle holder leg. So we'll just call it leg. So we know it's our tea candle holder, and job done. Now, I can I can copy paste this, Command C and Command V, over here, and now I've got two components. This is the big trick that will confuse most people. I want to move this guy into place. Now, the key with moving in SketchUp, it can be a little bit tricky. You move into place step by step. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the corner here with the move tool. What's the shortcut for the move tool? M, easy. Click on the edge here. Oh, sorry, I had the wrong one selected. Here we go, select this one. Move tool. I'm just going to grab this edge and I'm going to move it into place just here. So it's sitting on top. Cool. Zoom in close, and I'm going to use that reference line I drew earlier to move this down into place. Now it's very hard to move this down because of the angle I'm looking in at. But if I orbit around a little bit here, whoop, that'll be easier. Move tool, let's see how we go. Click on that line I drew earlier. Now it's bringing it out to me, but then it eventually, SketchUp figured out what I was trying to do. Here we go. Now I'm trying to bring this down into this corner here. This is tricky. It involves a little bit of feel. The more you move objects in SketchUp, the more you get a feel for it. So now I have one object in place, one leg. I'm zooming in and zooming out. Notice that SketchUp zooms in wherever your cursor is. So wherever your cursor is, I'm on a Mac now, so I'm doing two-finger click, or two-finger push, if you like, on the trackpad, pushing up. And select the next object with the selection tool, move tool. We'll try and move it into place here, see how far we get. Okay, I'll orbit around, see where I'm sitting. Here we go, move again. Try to bring this down here, down to here. Cool, and I'll zoom in, and you can see the line is just hiding over here. Whoop. Again, see, notice how I'm doing all of this in steps. I use the pan tool there to move it over. That's a little hand up here on top. And here we go. Whoop. It can be a little bit glitchy, but see, once I tracked onto this line here, oh, here we are, and I slowly move down, staying on that line, it should snap into position. Now, what I have here is I have my tea candle holder fully assembled. And if I look in from the top view, this is what it looks like. Top view, front view, side views, side view. Here we go. Looking good. Now I just want to show you what I was talking about that. You don't have to do this, but I'll just show you what I was talking about with that the component option. How whatever you change in one changes the other. Now in a component has a force field around it. I call it the force field. You have to double click to get inside the force field. Now we can edit we can edit this object. So if I wanted to, let's see, realistically, what would I want to do here? I could use the push-pull tool, selection tool, push-pull tool. I'll zoom out so you can see the other one. And I can pull this out here. Check it out. So it's kind of like magic. I'm changing one and the other one changes at the same time. Or maybe I'm making a little step in. Realistically, I wouldn't really want to do this in this case, but something like this looks kind of pretty. That could be a leg. So you can see now I have changed both objects. Click off it again and I've changed both objects. You guys don't need to do this. I'll change that again. I got to click on the object, double click, push pull on the surface, select the surface first. And notice that if I zoom in here, it can be hard to get it exactly into position, but if you hover on the line, it references the line, and that is the job done for now. So, what do we want to do next? We want to try and lay this out for as a technical drawing. Okay, so while I'm on a roll here, I'm going to keep going. Go on to my top view. Here we go. And zoom into position. That looks fairly good. I have to change my camera view. Parallel projection. That makes everything flat, so you're not looking in at an angle. Everything's completely flat as if you're drawing on a piece of paper. So that was camera and parallel projection. So there's no perspective. See how perspective looks? That's perspective because you're looking in from a central point. Whereas parallel projection, no perspective. Next thing, you guys are going to learn how to dimension. The dimension tool is over here. Can anyone guess what the shortcut is? D. Easy. Oh my word, SketchUp's let me down here. What's the shortcut for the dimension? Let's see. Ah, no, it was working, I believe. Let's double check that. D. Yeah. No, D isn't working. That's the one shortcut that doesn't work with the letter. Oh well, there we go. You can click on dimension over here. And first thing we need to do is, looking at your drawing there, you can see the first measurement on the left is 110. So I click over here, 110. Next up, I want to go in 80. From here to here, 80. 70. So you're trying to replicate the drawing itself. If you're stuck, try experimenting with the dimension tool right now. Okay, we're looking pretty good. I need 70 as well here for my material. The reason we're putting dimensions on our drawing is so as it can be a plan in the workshop. So if you guys are designing your own house in SketchUp and you want to build your own house, you would need to have plans going onto your work site of how big each piece is, what size it is, where you need to cut, all that kind of thing. So I'm going to zoom in here. Looking pretty good. Now, let's see. We're going to change our styles next. Model info. I'll actually go into our model info first because I want to change my dimension size. So I've just gone into dimensions here and I'm going to change the size up to about 18. Let's see how that looks. Select all dimensions, update those dimensions, and my dimensions have increased in size on the screen, so it's just going to look so much better. I can even go up to 20, I think. Let's see. 24, it's going to be pretty big. Yeah, that looks good. That's going to look good in a drawing. Okay. And beautiful. So next thing is my windows and styles. Here we go, window, styles. And when you open up styles, you have to click on defaults. Now I've noticed that sometimes your version might be a little bit different to me. When you open it up, it might look like this. But if you click on this little option here and go on to styles and default styles, you get all these options. You want to go for the fifth option here. Let's see. 1, 2. in our case here we go for this one, number 3, which is hidden line. Beautiful. Now, in this scenario here, all I need to do next is edit, delete all my guides. I don't need those guidelines anymore. They were just there to help me. Also, I want to go view and untick the axes. And I'll even get rid of my toolbar, and all of a sudden I have a beautifully laid out drawing that makes sense to me from this angle. You'll see if you look at your drawing on your table, I have replicated everything here, barred a little bit of text. You can use the text tool to do that. I've replicated everything here, but I also need to do this down here. So this is a very, very good time to save a new version of your work. So I'm going to save this version here. File, save as. Now you guys would have saved yours already, whatever way you've saved it, that's fine. So I'm going to go File, Save As, Tea Candle Holder, and I'll just call this number 1, okay? Or master, I'll actually call it my master file. So I've saved that, that's good to go. That will stay as it is. Next one, I go File, Save As, and I'm going to save the next one as the front view. And by doing that, what happens is I'll be able to keep this, I'll be able to go back to it later, take a screenshot of my work, or I could simply just take a screenshot now. I'm just trying to be doubly safe here so you guys don't lose your hard work. There's my screenshot. If I open up a Word document, here we go. There's some wood lathe safety there if you want to brush up on your wood lathe safety. New document. And I'll be going for layout is going to be, now you guys can open up Word as well, just working in advance. Here we go, orientation is landscape. And I'm just going to ping this in here and I can resize it. Now I can't move it down without wrapping text and tight or square, whichever, they both work. Move it roughly into position. And see, if I hadn't increased the size of my dimensions, I wouldn't be able to see them very well on this page. Now they look pretty good here. I could even go bigger actually in hindsight. Now that's one bit done. So if I go back to SketchUp, I can look in at another angle here. I'll look in at the front view. Here we go. Now in your case, maybe side view, whatever view you need to click on to get to this point. Now one thing we need to do first though is we need to delete all these old dimensions because we don't need them anymore. With the selection tool, select those dimensions, got to click on them. And we're looking at the front or the side. It could be side in your case. Depends on how you've drawn this. And I'll zoom in on this edge. Just like in the bottom left hand corner of your drawing. Okay, in the bottom left hand corner you've got dimensions in there. So we know that this needs to be 19 millimeters wide. There we go. And next up we have, let's see, 20 mil in from the edge. Now if you look at this one here, just have a look at the board right now. You can see that's not the measurement we want because it's at an angle. But if you click there and move down, it'll snap to the measurement you want. Cool. Okay. Oh, you would probably have noticed that I forgot to show you guys how to do the follow me tool all the way around the edge. So in your drawing, there's a chamfer all the way around the edge. I've forgotten to show you guys how to do that. So maybe I'll jump back and do that in a moment. Now, see how the 6 millimeters and the 19 millimeters looks pretty average. So if you right click there and click on the text position, you can change the position of the text. Now with the 6mm here, I'll probably put it underneath, move it over. Now also we can change our leader lines as well, those arrows, we can change them into dashed lines like on the drawing, but I'm not going to bother doing that right now. And zoom in, cool. So this is our next screenshot. On a Mac it's Command, Control, Shift and 4. That takes a screenshot that sits in the background on your computer. It actually sits on the clipboard. So it just means you don't have to save your screenshot to your desktop. Back to Word. And we got our next one here. So I'm just going to resize this a little bit. And we're looking pretty good. Now obviously we want to have our exploded view up here in the corner. That's something we can do after. Okay. Now I'm continuing on here, everyone, just so you've got a decent video to look at. Okay. Now, so it's an investment in our next class. One thing I forgot to do here was our little chamfer around the edge. So I'm going to do that now. Zoom in here. Tape measure 2. And I go in, I believe, from recollection, I will go in 3. Let's see how 3 looks. 3 is fine. If you want a bigger or small chamfer, it's up to you. You can go in 3, you can go in 5. It's just for cosmetics. Line tool from edge to edge. Beautiful. Now, with the follow me tool, view, follow me is just here. We click on the face and start following this line all the way around. So let's see, sometimes you can, sometimes it figures out where you want to go. Let's see. Now in this case I just lost my face, so I'm going to have to zoom in again. Click on here. Can be a little bit tricky. You just have to be very accurate with your mouse. So it's been a bit tricky for me here at the moment. Follow along here. Remember I said it's like those buzzer games where you have to follow a wire. Oh, let's see. That's no good. That's no good. Having a bit of a fail here, so I'll just zoom in a little bit closer. That's where I should have started. Here we go. Third time lucky, hopefully. Nah, not happening for me here. I'd say my top view will be an easier way to do this. So I'm going super slow this time. Hopefully I won't lose on this back edge. Good. Okay, I picked up the back edge. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay, we're going good. I'm staying as close to that line as I can. Oh, I hope I don't fall at the last hurdle here. Beautiful. Now we have our chamfer on the edge, okay? Took a couple of tries, but we got there. Now, the last thing we kind of need to do now is our exploded view. We can draw in some tea candles as well. That's a little bit of a challenge. The exploded view is fairly straightforward, actually. I'm not even going to do it here. I want you guys to try and do that by yourself. So, You can just click on the object, move it down a certain amount, click on the other object, move it straight down, those two legs there. And in relation to drawing your tea candles, I want you guys to figure out how you can draw your tea candles in there as well. Now, maximum props to anyone who can get an exploded view done as per the drawing on your table. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I think there are enough tips. And thank you for your attention, Year 8s.